Hello, everybody. You're watching Coffee and Clicks. My name is Tlish. We have a special guest today. His name is his name is Devon from Happy Little Heroclix, popular YouTube channel regarding the game of Heroclix. So,
Hello.
how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good.
By the way, if anybody's wondering, the coffee that I'm drinking today is vanilla French toast coffee from Wolfgang Puck. So something new I'm trying. So Devon, from Happy Little Heroclix, this is your YouTube channel. Can you tell us a little bit about your channel, um, in general?
Sure. Yeah, it's a little bit like most YouTube channels for HeroClix. You have team building. We talk about previews. One unique thing I think I do is I do like play-by-play solitaire games, so people get a general sense of how the game is played. And I record it all on my phone. So I have a really tiny tripod that I put on the table, so you get an up close and personal view of the game as it happens. And it's just general fun overall. I'm not necessarily the meta competitive channel, so I do from time to time have advice for those kind of events, but it's more just having fun with the game of what I find interesting about HeroClix.
Yeah, I mean, I do notice one of the segments on your show because I watch the show. I'm a subscriber, and I do notice that one of the things that you have on the show, you'll unbox like a brick or something like that, and then you'll take two boosters and make a team out of them, and then two more boosters and make a team out of them, and then you kind of pit the teams against each other, which I always find interesting. I mean, have you been doing that? How long has your YouTube channel been going on for?
Oh, for about 3 years now, 3.5. I started right after Joker's Wild.
That's about when I started playing, actually.
Oh wow, man,
But
time
so
flies by.
yeah, time flies by. I mean, but I mean, what caused you to start the channel in the first place?
Oh well, I was I was actually needed something more to do with HeroClix. I had recently lost a good chunk of my player base at my local venue, and I felt like I could grow the scene a bit more maybe if I started a YouTube channel, and I needed a reason to keep buying HeroClix. So
Yeah,
I figured a good unboxing video was a nice start for that.
that makes sense. I mean, where are you based out of? Where's
Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, Nebraska? Okay. And do you have a lot of like a pretty good scene out there as far as HeroClix? I mean, you said you lost a few players, but
It's built back up a little bit. We have a regular 5 to 6 now that go to both. Well, I should say we have about 3 venues, so maybe it's a bigger scene because we have one in Bellevue, which is just south of Omaha, where they have a good 4 or 5, maybe 6 that just play down there. But then for the other 2 Omaha venues, we have a shared group of about 5 or 6 other players. So it's steady now. We get new players occasionally. They'll jump on and off as they go.
okay. I mean, and have you noticed? I mean, because in your show, you tend to find a lot of cool interactions with different figures. I noticed the teams that you put together are really creative and interesting. Have you noticed any interesting interactions within the new set, the X-Men the animated series, Dark Phoenix?
Um, that I'm still digging through for the most part. There's a ton of interesting figures to mess around with. Some favorites are that common Wolverine that can just turn off an opponent's stealth and shape change just by being next to them. And that's not just for Wolverine attacking that character, that's for any figure on your team trying to either target or attack the character Wolverine's standing next to. So just by standing there, you basically turn off an entire character's defensive powers,
Yeah,
except for like impervious and stuff.
I actually like him as a call-in. I mean, a lot of people are looking at the Fast Forces Wolverine as a call-in, but I like the common Wolverine too, just because of that turning off
Yeah,
shape change thingy.
Oh man, it was the worst losing a Mystique that way because her entire thing is shape change, and when you lose access to that, it's pretty much over.
Um. So
But then outside of that, like you have like the danger room constructs are neat. I did a quick video building a team around them because there's these sentinels that you can pilot because they have the vehicle symbol on their defensive spot. So your standard characters can jump inside and share their stats. So you could always throw in one of the danger room constructs into the. I keep wanting to call them Gundams just because you can jump inside. But if you take the danger room constructs in there, you share their super crazy high numbers, and then you also don't have to worry about their trait anymore of only dealing 1 damage at a time.
Oh, okay.
They're off map. So like the catch with the Magneto, right, is he has crazy good high numbers, but until he,
I mean, maybe I could actually let me bring him up.
yeah, if they have it on Realms.
Let's see. Here's Magneto. So he's got 11 speed with running shot, 12 attack with penetrating psychic blast, 18 defense with toughness, and 4 damage with range combat expert. And that seems really, really excellent for 50 points. He's got 8 range with 2 targets, Brotherhood of Mutants, and robot keywords, which are great keywords. But he also... I mean, the caveat there, I mean, his Danger Room construct trait, it says that when Magneto makes an attack after resolutions, give him an error token for each one in the attack roll, maximum 3. If Magneto has 2 or less error tokens, characters take a maximum of 1 damage from Magneto's attacks, and Magneto takes a maximum of 1 damage from opponents' attacks, and he can't be healed or chosen for Mastermind. Okay, so if you put him in a vehicle, then that trait gets ignored. That entire trait gets ignored, right?
Yeah, yep, because you're attacking and damaging the vehicle instead. But the catch with vehicles is, as a free action, they can both take the standard range, attack, and damage values, and then one standard attack or damage power from the pilot. So you can grab that 12 attack, 4 damage from Magneto, and throw it onto your Sentinel without worry, which is pretty fun.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. And I think the Magneto and the Sentinel Squad 1 are both legal for Pauper. I think they're legal for the Pauper.
Yeah, you can definitely build a robot team that way.
Yeah, that seems like one of the more popular teams. What other popular teams are going to be coming out of the Pauper? Well, what is your opinion of the Pauper format in general?
I like it. It gives players another format to play through, which is something I think HeroClix was missing in its competitive scene. I'm sure there's plenty of players that are sort of tired with the regular modern ID card, chase figures, all these sideline elements and equipment. And this Pauper version still has those, of course, but it's toned down and it'll probably feel more like regular HeroClix. Although you will have your better figures in the format that you still have to contend with.
Yeah, I mean, there's two metas instead of one meta now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what price fluctuation happens on uncommons. If there's some generics, I think those Friends of Humanity and uncommon Sentinels, the ones you can generate.
Yeah,
I think those might go up a bit. I think I saw some start selling for $20, which is crazy.
Wait, not the Friends of Humanity though, just the Sentinels, actually. Yeah.
But I can see those doing pretty well. I think, of course, you'll see a Nimrod or two just as being the easy go-to of hey, I can pick a standard attack power and I might not die.
But it's also more fun, I feel like, because just in general for the game, if I'm opening a brick or a case and you're less bummed out. Now you're more excited to pull those uncommons and those,
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
It makes everything worth something,
Yeah. especially for like people that were paying it that only play for like ROC events, when they open up their sealed product, half the time those common and uncommons just get ignored unless they have something specific to do with us, like a unique team.
Yeah.
So it gives people a reason to actually look at those and play those figures outside of sealed, which is, in my opinion, a good thing.
Yeah, interestingly enough, now the format makes rares like the worthless figures.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out something.
Something for rares.
Yeah. For a little while there, it seemed like everyone had their own different kind of format for Pauper. I know, like, one region of the country was using commons, uncommons, and rares. Others got rid of the Highlander part. Some were allowing primes, but I think overall I like the ROC one the most so far.
Yeah, I like the one that they have now.
Yeah, where you can use fast forces and a starter set guys, which I think is fine.
Yeah, I mean it's not broken. It's not broken as long as you have the Highlander rule in effect. Because I think.
Yeah.
I think,
Oh yeah. Yep. So I did play one without the Highlander rule, and it became like the giant girl colossal swarm
mm-hmm.
that you had to worry about. So yeah, the Highlander fixes a lot of stuff about it. And then just commons and uncommons means the teams will functionally be much different than a regular 300 modern.
I mean, for everybody who's not familiar with the Pauper, the ROC or Pauper rules as they are now, it's common and uncommon game elements only. So that includes common and uncommon equipment, common and uncommon ID cards, but you can only call in figures that are common or uncommon.
Yep.
It does not include primes, but the Danger Room figures are included. They're not considered. I guess they're not considered prime. And the WWE figures will be allowed into Pauper. I think I've heard that.
I completely forgot about that part. That makes them completely different too.
Starter and fast forces are allowed, but it's completely Highlander, so you're not allowed to use. You're not allowed to use two of any of the same set number of any figure. So I mean, you can use two Hulks, but they have to be different set number Hulks. They have to be a different piece. So, and it fixes a lot of things. The Highlander rule fixes a lot of things because people were running like multiple Giant Girls, multiple Starter Hulks, multiple Medusas, multiple Boomerang Elites, and it kind of fixes a lot of that stuff. So, yeah, I like it. I'm excited for states. My state championships are coming up in November, in at least where I am, and it's a Pauper format. It's that exact format. So, have you seen any of the WWE figures yet, or like?
So recently, HeroClix, or WizKids, I should say, put up the image gallery for their figures for WWE. And what's different this time about that is they just posted the cards with all the... Or I thought they did. Oh, no, I guess not. It's on the evidence thread then. And some of the powers are pretty cool. I'm trying to find one place where I can review just the powers again, because it's been a bit since I looked at them. I had completely forgotten that they're going to be part of the Pauper League or ROC states too.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, I found it. So we can look at some of these powers.
Let me see.
Here, I'll link it to you. But yeah, none of the WWE stuff has so far seemed too broken. They obviously made it a good intention to make sure they're not like going to be awful against regular superheroes. And they have their team ability, and then both new speed and attack powers that are in little circles.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking when I first heard that WWE was coming out with HeroClix figures, I was like, are they going to print them with range? Because you can't really have a ranged attack from a wrestler,
Yeah. I mean, they could throw a chair or something, but they're not gonna.
So
shooting lasers out of their eyes or anything.
Yeah, but then like if you have all figures that have zero range, you have to give them something else to make them good. Here, let's take a look at the. Yep.
There's some interesting combinations here too, because one in like the first article WizKid released answering questions about WWE, they brought up the topic of pick-a-power characters that as like a free action or whatever can choose standard powers in the game to just use, and then because WWE has new standard powers, if your team is playing a WWE game element, whether that's like a figure or their new boxing ring or whatever, your pick a power character will be able to choose the new WWE powers, which
Okay.
is something unique to do.
So it's interesting that they didn't just allow that, like your pick, like if you're playing with like, I mean he's rotated out already, but let's say you have Goblin King or something that can pick powers,
Yeah.
It's interesting that they didn't just say, okay, you can pick these powers too, just in general. But I guess
Right.
that would make things a little too confusing. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it sort of makes it so you have to at least play something from WWE to benefit from all the new stuff that they're adding to the game. So I
Yeah.
kind of like that. It does mean there's going to be much more to keep track of, because we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 new powers that on top of the regular PAC.
Are these all the 8 powers? Oh yeah. So these are the powers right here. So there's only
Yep.
speed and attack powers.
Yeah, so that's one thing I'm thankful of. They didn't go for the whole gamut of the entirety of the pack. So they only went with speed and attack ones, which makes me curious if they branch out into another kind of universe outside of Marvel and DC, if they'll do like only special defense and damage powers for that or something, or if this WWE is one and done. I guess it depends on how much it sells. I know they just wrapped up the last Star Trek set, and who knows how well these Star Trek has done so far. Because the first Star Trek set came out right with the full 5-figure boosters, but then this newest one they split that up into gravity feeds
Mm-hmm.
to try to make a little bit more money since it didn't do too well.
The first set didn't do too well with the original team, like Kirk and
would
stuff.
I would imagine not too great.
Yeah.
There wasn't really anything in there that was
No, that's true.
outstanding.
You
There's
just had
Trelane.
Trelane, Kirk, and then you had the starter map. The map was
Yeah.
very popular.
Oh yeah. And then you had like tribbles for shenanigans if you wanted. But yeah, that was just about it.
Yeah. No, I don't
And
know.
then even in this newer set, there was supposed to be a map for the Enterprise, and it got canceled.
Oh,
Which
really?
is too bad. Yeah, when I was talking to some people from WizKids at the World Championship, and they said that it just fell through because they have to get permission from whoever holds the copyright, and the negotiations, I guess, or whatever, didn't work out. It's kind of interesting to hear, like, from them anyway, how like nitpicky some companies can be with like with how WizKids is using their property. Where like I think it was the Star Trek map, they were complaining about like where the stairs were on the Enterprise map or something like really small that didn't really ultimately really matter that much, but
For the Star Trek, like the Star Trek licensing or whatever.
yeah, so to like a HeroClix player, it probably doesn't matter too much, but for the rights holder, they're like, you got to make sure it's exact, or else you can't use it at all. But apparently, they'll also get complaints if they preview a figure model just like a company, they'll say like, "Oh, why are the hands and the head off size? Why are the hands so big?" And like they don't quite understand the end result size of what a regular HeroClix figure looks like. They only see the huge 3D model.
So I'm just looking at these.
Gauge it.
I'm looking at these WWE powers, and like, do any of them combo with other powers in like other like? Let me see. Like,
Well, some of them are all caps, capital close actions, so that would work with a charge, of course.
oh yeah, slam. So you could charge slam.
Yep,
Right, close.
that's
Make a
one.
close attack. Choose one. Give a hit character an action token, or place a hit character adjacent to this character. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, so you could charge and then just like move the character into another square. That's really good.
Yeah, and then I have to thank my friend Simeon Bruce over at Dial H for HeroClix. He goes to my local venue here in Omaha too, but we have some interesting stuff for people that can pick powers, right? So he's Golden Age, so he's just a good example because he can pick two. Say Goblin King picks two standard powers, right? You could pick both regular poison and then also the WWE poison called Submission Hold and use both, which is pretty crazy.
Oh,
So the
okay.
submission hold is a free if this character hasn't been moved or placed, just like regular poison. Deal 1 damage to target adjacent opposing character. So you're only dealing it to, unlike poison, you're only dealing it to one adjacent opposing character. But that opposing character gains both immobile. Both that character and your character gain immobile until your next turn, so they can't move because you're submission holding them in place. That's the brown
And that's
circle attack power.
that's even if you don't deal them damage, even if they have a reducer,
Yeah.
they still get
Yeah.
immobile. So, like, let's say you had Remaker on, you could just poison and submission hold them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So tons of interesting things to do here. I believe all the WWE figures are just standard figures, so you could equip them, of course, with all sorts of things. You could give them the Goblin Glide. I don't think any of them have range, but you could give them the Goblin Glider for running shot. It'd be funny. You'd be forced to just throw objects, I guess.
Cool.
But it looks good. I think this comes out next week. Oh my gosh, I'm so far behind.
Yeah,
There's
I already
so much
have
released recently.
I've already pre-ordered a bunch, so I have some coming in.
Wow.
I have
Yeah.
W.
Are
Yeah.
you a big WWE fan?
You know what? I'm a casual fan. You know, I was a fan in the '80s with like Hulk and Macho Man and when I was growing up. So I'm a casual fan now. You know, I'll watch it every once in a while. But I do like the characters, and you know, I do know who they are and stuff. So I'm like,
Oh, sure.
like,
I came from a very sheltered background, so I was never allowed to watch wrestling. So I don't have that same nostalgia trip as everyone else. I do know, like, just from pop culture in general, I know, like, Macho Man and Hulk Hogan and all them, Andre the Giant. So there's, like, one or two I'll pick up, but, like, a lot of these, I just don't know who they are.
yeah,
And, I mean, their dials look okay. Like, I know who The Rock is. John Cena, I know just because there's memes about him, but a lot of the other ones on here, I'm just like, I've had them explained it to me, and it makes me wonder, like, why? What is wrestling?
no, it's funny when you said you weren't allowed to watch wrestling. My wife grew up; she wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons.
Oh, yep, I was in the same boat.
But I you know, I think it's a good show. It's just I'm not knocking the show. Just don't get me in trouble on YouTube or anything. But
Yeah. You don't want that copyright.
I don't want that copyright. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we're in the same boat then. Yeah. For some, okay, so like I'd always get like the random talk of like Pokemon's evil. What are you doing? Stop. But like Harry Potter was fine.
Harry Potter was fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though the same people that were saying like wrestling and Simpsons and whatever are bad, they were also saying Harry Potter is bad. But for some reason, my parents were like, "Yeah, it's Harry Potter. We can watch it together."
Well, there was a big thing about Magic the Gathering too. Do you
Yeah.
remember? Yeah. Do you remember that whole thing back in the day?
Yeah, that big old scare. Yeah.
Like my teachers,
It was
my teachers would be like, "What are you doing? What are you, you know?"
I was at like a church bonfire when I was like 10, and then there was at this time this high schooler who brought in his Magic the Gathering cards, and like as to repent or something, he like threw them in the fire. I forget the full details, but yeah, that whole demonic scare or whatever it was around all these 90s and early 2000s stuff, that was real. That was out there.
um,
Ultimately, like it's just not true.
yeah, yeah,
I won't detail it. I won't segue too hard into that. Thankfully, HeroClix has never.
yeah. Heroclix has never got any flack.
HeroClix is fine. Yeah, yeah. It's the superheroes. Haha.
One thing I want to ask you though is the last thing I guess is just I wanted to get your opinion about the watch listed figures.
Oh sure. Ooh. Guess who's gonna bring those up because he forgot to look in advance. Not me. I'm prepared.
Do you know you don't know what they are?
It was Vulture.
It was Vulture. It was Trader, Gardner, and what was the fourth one? Green Proteus.
Okay, yeah.
I wasn't
Trainer, Vulture, Green Proteus, Gardner. Okay.
Gardner.
Green Proteus is the one that makes the blocking, right?
Yeah, he makes the blocking like every time something moves.
Anyone moves.
Yeah, anytime anyone moves.
And that's not the problem with him is because they haven't fixed it yet. So for anyone listening that is unaware, new to the game, there's this errata that happens on some figures after they've been released called the Watchlist, where instead of like banning figures outright in the game of HeroClix, WizKids decides to just adjust how their powers work to kind of balance the game so you can still play your figures, they just won't be as effective. And I imagine the change around the Green Proteus will be that you can only like use one, or that only one of them triggers if you have more than one of the Green Proteus, because as it is right now, right, if you have more than one of them on their Colossal Retaliation click, say you have 3 and your opponent moves, you would then generate 3 blocking terrain pieces just because you have 3 of the same dude, which can be a problem because the whole Proteus's power activates after any figure moves, so you're filling a whole map up almost immediately in some cases. So I could see them like making it so that the terrain markers you generate from that Proteus are unique, so that just like a maximum bystander count or something, you couldn't just you'd have to like choose one Proteus and only he would be able to activate. Maybe, I don't know. What do you think about that Proteus?
Yeah, I think I don't think it's too broken unless you're using multiples of them. Then it can get broken. Even then, it's a very good figure. Here's the thing: even if they errata it, which means change something about it, it's still a useful figure. Just in the same way that I mean, even if they made it unique so that you could only play one of them on your team. I'd actually rather them not do that. I'd rather them make it so that you can only use the power once,
Yeah.
Because that would make it useful still as kind of like filler for like monster teams and stuff like that. The same way Flora Colossus is kind of a 10-point filler for cosmic teams. I'm trying to find the figure itself so we could show it. It is a rare, right? Oh, colossal rare. Let's see.
Yeah, colossal rare.
Proteus, there it is. There it is. So, set number G014 Proteus. Yeah, he's got the deity, monster, and ruler keywords. And in this set, the X-Men set, when it came out, it really strengthened the ruler keyword. It was already pretty strong. And Now I think Ruler is getting is getting a lot stronger. So is Monster. And Monster was
Monster is crazy powerful.
Monster's really powerful. I mean,
It's always interesting for Hero being around so long to see which generic keyword is like the best at any given time. It always seems to fluctuate between like mystical scientist for a little bit. Now monster is probably the go-to.
yeah, Monster. I mean, Cosmic is always good.
Oh yeah, Cosmic. I forgot to mention that too. Yeah, Cosmic's up there.
But so he has this trait. Whenever a character within range is given a costed action, so that means if he attacks, if they move, so it has to be within range of 5. And it could be your characters. It doesn't have to be your opposing characters. So if you run him with like Starro, and then move your Starro fights, they're each they're each given a costed action, and then you can just create tons of blocking. So like let's say you run Starro and like 10 Proteuses, that's 200 points.
Yeah. Oh man, if you were to like go back to like 2014. I believe that's around the time More Light came out, and be like, all right, Devon, in the future, colossal figures are only going to be 10 points, and you can run like 50 of them on your team. I would not believe you. I would say, what are you smoking? It is so strange. Like whenever a new player or a player comes back to the game, right, that used to play before, and they're looking at all these colossals, like, aren't these like 1,000 points and they never get played? I'm like, no, that's not true anymore. You can play them on every team. They're in fact almost on every team right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it makes me so.
I mean, I'm not anti-colossal. I'm not anti-colossal though. Like some people like anti-colossal. I don't know.
I feel if they could rein it in a little bit. I felt for the most part the retaliation in X-Men Animated was fine. It's just not. I feel there needs to be like a stronger downside to this free attack that just happens map wide on some of these figures.
Yeah, there's too many things that just happen for free, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's not even just retaliation, because you're right. They didn't X-Men Animated. They toned down the colossal retail. Like even Proteus itself, he's got like his retail is not that strong. It's not like it's. I mean, it could be annoying. It's a good retail, but it's not brutal like you had from the Mighty Thor. Because the Mighty Thor, I feel like their retail was really strong. Like you had Mangog, you had Carnage, you had Surtur. So you had really strong.
They really wanted to sell that super booster in that set. I get that feeling just a bit.
But they just made this figure is still kind of overpowered for what he does at 10 points. Even though he's not retailing, he's doing something else. You know? But yeah, if you made this Garden of Proteus trait, if you made it whenever once per I don't know how to word it, once per character. Or something like that. Like you could only do it once. Even if you have 3 Proteuses, you can only do it once per turn, you know?
Right.
Which would still make it, I guess, good. But it would be good as filler for a monster team, you know?
Yeah, you wouldn't have like necessarily a team built around that that Proteus then.
But what do you think about the watch list for like Gardner and Trader?
Oh yeah. So Gardner gets to make free attacks through his little hindering terrain markers that he generates at the start of the turn. And I'm going to bring up Gardner just so I know what I'm talking about, because I haven't played I always called him Space Moses just because he looks like Moses.
Mm-hmm.
He even has a little staff.
Oh yeah, he looks like Moses. Yeah, he looks like from the 10 Commandments. Yeah.
So for those of you who may be unaware of what Space Moses does, he has Smoke Cloud and is free. As a free action, he can make a close attack targeting an opposing character occupying a hindering terrain marker generated by Gardner, regardless of adjacency. If you hit, choose one, and that hit character either can use or can't use Battle Fury until your next turn. So So the strongest part about him, right, is he's 45 points, 50 points if you start with a gem equipped to him. And this was on Isaac's winning team, right, from Worlds, I want to say, or was it one of the top 8?
Yeah, I think
Isaac?
I think a lot of teams were using him.
Yeah.
Isaac used him. I think I'm drawing a blank now, but
Yeah, the World Championship teams.
a lot of the
And-
a lot of the cosmic teams were using Gardner. A lot of people have been using Gardner with Nightbringer.
Yeah. So obviously, anytime you make a free attack in the game, it's going to be super good. So maybe they make that attack power a power action instead, so that he cannot both free close attack and then shoot you after. Yeah, I'm not sure what they would change here. I suppose what makes him the strongest is, of course, if you start on that click 0 with that 11 attack, 3 damage, and then you add on top of that, starting with the time gem for prob, you're gonna hit pretty easily, especially if you have multiples of this guy. So I could see them changing the attack power to a power action instead. That'd be one way to.
Yeah, I can see them doing that. I wouldn't want them to do that. I feel like I don't know.
Yeah, because they landed on the watch list, right, doesn't necessarily mean that changes will happen. It's just that the figure's getting reviewed, just to make sure.
Yeah.
I wish they would go into further detail of what kind of review they do, but that's not historically what WizKids has done. They just post the names, and then maybe a month or two later, you hear what the changes will be.